like the side of Netherlands is calling in for Erik Ten Hag, and he has gone ahead to fail himself again. All of you people onto this channel have known me as a Ten Hag inner. You know that very well. But today, I surrender, guys. I've finally surrendered. I believe Erik Ten Hag has failed himself in obviously getting himself onto the job of Manchester United. And there is no way I'm really gonna be here telling you that Erik Ten Hag should stay unless otherwise he really makes a very huge change in how he obviously does his tactics. Because today, as you see the title in there for you, Ten Hag schooled by Ange, and I tell you, Netherlands is calling for Erik Ten Hag to obviously go and join the teams that he really looks like he can obviously manage into the mix. And this is Rokan David onto the United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rokan David. Smash like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And I tell you, what pissed me off in this game of football is Rokan David seated here in Africa watching that game. 10 minutes in, we concede a goal, and the team of Tottenham Hotspur stays or continues to attack us the same way, and they would have gonna even score like 5 goals in a space of 15 minutes, and the manager couldn't really do anything. He couldn't obviously change, and that sends you a message that that was the shape that Erik Ten Hag had brought. And he was like, I'm gonna rely on the pace of Garnacho and Marcus Rashford. Garnacho and Marcus Rashford don't track back. You get? Don't track back, and we hit them on the break. You understand? And he left his fullbacks exposed because today, people that really had to work a lot were Dallo and Mazurui, and those tactics are really out. You know, a very good manager, what makes him is understanding that I'm really shite, or what I've gone here to put out is shite. Can I really change this style of play? And Erik Ten Hag, for the 45 minutes, kept playing with the same style. And I was like, no way a competent manager does this. Guys, I think Erik Ten Hag has sacked himself. He has sacked himself because with mounting pressure onto him, you look onto the games that you're supposed to be playing, I think he has no chance. And if Erik Ten Hag survives a sack at Manchester United, I'm gonna rate him as one of the most luckiest people on planet Earth, because what he has gonna hit to put out today is unforgivable. For the players, I'm no longer even looking at them, because it's this manager who has the right to tell the player that get out of the pitch, I'm gonna be replacing you with this player. You get? After seeing how Mazurui was exposed, Dallo was exposed, he kept telling Rashford and Garnacho not to track back, to obviously keep narrow, you know, and then wait for United to obviously get that ball and then hit Spurs on their counter-attack. And it's really very contrary to what Man United is supposed to be playing like, because for the previous 3-4 games, you've gone ahead to see United come on and really do the needful and really pass that ball and move it in the best way possible. But this manager has gone ahead to obviously change the style of play because he's playing against Tottenham Hotspur. If we are playing away at the Tottenham Hotspur, it's okay for him to come out and really put out what he wants. But at Old Trafford, we are having 70 plus fans behind us. We had all what it takes to obviously take on that side. But United looked very uncoached, and it looked very ugly on the night. And there is no way I'm really going to come out and obviously defend this manager, because he has obviously gotten himself a sack. And things are evident that we've been talking about in here. You get? One, when Bruno was red carded, United looked a better compact team. You get? And you saw to it that Bruno out, United looked better. It's one of the things that I've been consistently talking about here on this channel, that Bruno Fernandes is one of the players that is costing the side of Manchester United. You get? If they cannot really change him to play, we are really gonna suffer. You get? We cannot really do this, and obviously not really blame the manager, because If a person who never really went to a coaching school can look to Bruno Fernandes, Bruno is really very bad, and a manager comes out and defends him and said, all right, however much he plays like that, but he comes out to have the best creations into the league. And I'm like, all right, look at Martin Odegaard, Bruno Fernandes, you've gone ahead to obviously create chances, and scored goals than any central attacking midfielder in the Premier League. But the big question is, those that you've gone ahead to outcompete have gone ahead to qualify for the Champions League, and for you, your team has gone ahead to complete 8th. Now, does that make sense? That means he's a selfish player and he's not a team player. He's not a team player. Look, putting out blind passes was the order of the day for Bruno Fernandes in that game, and if Erik Ten Hag was competent, the first player to be taken off the field of play in just 20 minutes would have gone ahead to be Bruno Fernandes. Why? If you are the person to link our attack or to link the midfield to our attack and you're playing like that, then you don't deserve to be playing on the pitch. So, I'm telling you, Erik Ten Hag has sacked himself. Because on Tuesday, we are resting for just one day and you're playing against FC Porto. You understand? Playing against FC Porto, it's not an easy job. And I tell you, I cannot put there my hand, or I cannot guarantee you that we are going to win the game against FC Porto, or we are going to go out and win the game against Aston Villa. Erik Ten Hag, in the next, after playing Villa, the results we're going to get, he will not be the manager of Manchester United. If at all we lose to Villa, I don't see Erik Ten Hag surviving a sack. I don't see him surviving a sack, because United will be like, let's sack Erik Ten Hag, and let's get in a new manager to obviously see to it that in these 2 weeks, he obviously prepares this side to really take it where it deserves to be, because Ten Hag has failed himself. I repeat it, Erik Ten Hag has failed himself, and he has gone ahead to give himself a sack. That is it. He has failed himself. And if you are looking at Erik Ten Hag as a person who can really turn around this club, there are 2 decisions he has to make. He should get Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford out of his thoughts. But is he strong enough to make those decisions? For the time we've gone ahead to see him, he can't. Because after conceding the first goal in the 3rd minute, that was really very ramshackled, how do you let Marcus Rashford even be on that pitch? If I'm the manager, I take him off, because you lose the ball and you really don't track back. Who does that in world football and stays on the field of play? Who does that? You get? Marcus Rashford barely did nothing. Him and Garnacho were like, all right, let's just walk around. The man that really stole the ball from Marcus Rashford made a run and diagonally passed or pelused through that midfield of Man United untouched. And if Rashford had gone ahead to track back and obviously chase that guy, he would have gone ahead to obviously impose a lot of pressure onto him, and there is no way he would have gone ahead to reach the 18 yards box area with that ball. You get? Now, what really pisses me off is, look at how we conceded the goal against FC20. It's the same way we concede the first goal in the 3rd minute. Marcus Rashford failed to obviously track back and really said, I've done my work. Let me rest here. You get? And you keep him on the pitch. How do you keep a player like that on the pitch? I've already told you that our fullbacks have gone ahead to suffer because of these players not tracking back. Especially Dalot today suffered a lot because he was caught into a 2v1 situation on very many occasions. Marcus Rashford couldn't obviously track back. You got? However much the manager gives you certain tactics, but sometimes you have to use common sense that this man is really suffering. Let me go and do the needful. And what does Rashford and Bruno Fernandes do better in this club? They are putting out blind passes, nothing positive. We are 6 games into the start of the league, and they are not yet clicking. You get? Those are players that deserve to be played off the bench. When you look at competent managers like Pep Guardiola, guess what he does? Pep Guardiola knows that Phil Foden is not in the form that he wants him to be. He plays him off the bench, but he doesn't force him on the pitch to obviously improve on the pitch, because he knows to it that I can get him on the pitch. I can get him on any time, and he'll obviously improve better and better and raise in form. But Why doesn't Ten Hag does that? Because I've already told you that Garnacho is a better left forward than Marcus Rashford. And look, when you are 11 men, Rashford did nothing. I tell you, he did nothing on that pitch of play, and he was playing on the left side. But look at how Garnacho is going to perform when we are, hear me out, when we are 10 men on the field of play, and he played on the left. He really put in better performances than Marcus Rashford. It's a message that Rashford is a worst player. And guys, if the manager cannot do it, what is the role of Dan Ashworth? What is the role of this guy, Wilcox, Jason Wilcox? What's your role? What's your role? You get? What's your role? You get? That is the hugest question that I have to come in here and really ask myself. What is the role of these people? Because if we can see this in here, how do you dare tell me that the technical department at Manchester United isn't seeing this? Do you still believe in Marcus Rashford? All right. You might stick with the manager and say, all right, we are building with Erik Ten Hag, all right, but why don't you tell him to try out something different? Get Bruno Fernandes off the pitch, get Marcus Rashford off the pitch, and next summer, take them and sell them. Sell them, because they cannot really help this club any further. You get? They cannot really help this club any further. You get? Because what are they doing? They are doing nothing. They are doing nothing on the pitch, and Erik Ten Hag is also falling a victim for these players that are going to hate to sack very many managers. And I've already told you that. Look at how the team is going to hate to change. Why is it that most of the players that are going to hate to come in through the club of Manchester United have really going to hate obviously improve, and we are still clinging on these people, and the list is still the same. You get? We talked of Harry Maguire. We talked of Lindelof. We talked of Scott McTominay, Fred, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, you get? And all of these players that have gone ahead to be gotten out of this team, those players that are going to replace them are really doing better. For example, Matthias De Ligt is looking better for Maguire. Lisandro Martinez is doing better than a player called Lindelof, you get? Mazurui is doing better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Look at Joshua Zexi. He's a very good player. Garnacho came in, is doing better. And when you look at that composition of players that we kept complaining of, that they need to be moved on and it gets better, they are the only two that we are still complaining about all on till now. And I tell you, the games that you're going to play in the Premier League without Bruno Fernandes, I tell you, United is going to be playing very well. They are going to be playing very well because he kills the rhythm of the attack. You've seen him today. You've seen him today. He couldn't put out a right pass. You get? And you call that your captain. And how does a captain really put in a stupid tackle like that? Because people say he slid. All right, he slid. But was there a need for him to obviously go in for a tackle like that? Meaning that he had lost his head. Where is his leadership skills? In moments like this, what raises a team high is the leader. But look, the leaders that we had that I really noticed were Matthias De Ligt and Lisandro Martinez. Amidst everything that really happened, they kept their heads high and they defended and they did their job. But Bruno Fernandes, a leader, he did nothing. And for me, it's a blessing in disguise to see him really being sent off the field of play. I want Erik Ten Hag to really test how United plays when we don't have Bruno Fernandes. Because I know we are going to be playing better. Whichever player you put up there, whether Mount, whether Eriksson, United will look better in transitions because they will carry that ball and they can really find out a pass to release our forward and really find themselves scoring goals. And that is what Erik Ten Hag should see, if at all he's still here. Because I believe he's going to be one of those managers that is really going to be sacked. Because I don't see him doing better against FC Porto, you get? I don't see him doing better against a team called Aston Villa. That is it. And I'll be very shocked if Erik Ten Hag kept his job as we return from the international break. I'm going to be shocked. I'm going to be totally shocked because he has 2 hard games and he needs obviously do a miracle. And I don't believe that he's going to be sacked tonight, right? I know they're going to give him 2 games. They will be like, we are getting you game of FC Porto and we're getting you game of Aston Villa, because they know they are hard. And this is the best way to obviously sack a manager like Erik Ten Hag, because if you've given him a second chance and he has failed to really exonerate himself, I tell you what, you get him those games. 1, a game against FC Porto away, and FC Porto is really a very hard team. You get, we saw it on how they played against Arsenal. Although they've gone to lose some players, but they are still intact and they really play some huge football in there for you. You get, the other game is Aston Villa. Aston Villa are really having, is it 13 points? You get, and they're going to be playing at home. So they are really going to be having a very, very, very high motivation. And I don't know how Ten Hag survives, because for me, I see those 2 games as losses. And there is no way he's really going to keep himself on the job if at all he loses those 2 games. And today he had a chance to obviously put himself in a position of not getting sacked if at all he really found himself winning that game against Tottenham Hotspur. But he didn't. He didn't. And he was schooled by Ange, and after getting schooled, look at what happened. Ten Hag surprisingly showed us that when Spurs are really off, we played better in the second half. By the way, a 10-man United played better than an 11-sided United. What does that send you? What message does that send you? Ten Hag is a stubborn manager. He knew exactly what to do, but he really failed to obviously put out the best that we deserved. And he was like, all right, let's play like that. When we get a red card, he compacts himself and the team starts playing better. Yet, if we are compact at the beginning of the game, Spurs would have gone ahead to find it hard to obviously break us down. So, I have nothing to say about Erik Ten Hag more. You know, I tell you, he has sacked himself and I don't see him really going past the international break. I don't see him really getting the international break. And for everyone who has been watching in this channel, you've always gone ahead to get to know that I've been that person who has always gone ahead to stand in for Erik Ten Hag, and I've always gone ahead to say, let's give him a chance. And in the previous games, we obviously found it out that United could obviously play some better football. But today, we looked bad. And I don't want anyone to come out and really give a red card as an excuse. It's not an excuse, because the red card came in through in the 42nd minute. But what were the stats like? Did you see anything positive in that game? Before Bruno got a red card, what positive did we put out on the field of play? I tell you, nothing. We put out nothing. So, I don't want anyone to come out here and really say, all right, the red card costed us the game, and I've gone here to come back. No comeback. Let no one lie to you that a comeback was going to be possible, because who could have gone ahead of orchestrate it? You get? So, if Erik Ten Hag is kept here until Tuesday, and then I think Saturday, when you're playing against Aston Villa at Villa Park, he might find himself into a rescue mission if he really takes Bruno Fernandes out of the game of FC Porto. You get? He should play with the likes of Ericsson. Drop Bruno Fernandes. How many times have we come out and said this? Because he's looking bad. And you see to it that if your team gets that ball and hits the team on the counter, who are those 2 players that are really responsible for costing you your attack? It's Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Then, why do you trust them? And if Erik Ten Hag continues to trust them, that's why I tell you, he is going to be on the next plane to Netherlands. That is it. He's going to give himself a sack and he will sit outside there. And I don't want anyone to blame the management, because the management gave him a second chance. Now, the players, he's the man responsible for those players. And if the players are performing like that, I tell you, he should be the one to blame. If you really keep the players who are really underperforming on the field of play, who is to blame? I think it's the manager. So, Eric Ten Hag, for me, he has sacked himself. I don't see him returning back. Now, what were the stats of the game? 11 shots by Man United. Tottenham had 24. 2 shots on target for the club of Manchester United. 10 on target by Tottenham Hotspur. 38% ball possession by Manchester United. 62% ball possession by Tottenham Hotspur. 377 passes completed by Manchester United, and Spurs completed 621. 78% passing accuracy by Manchester United. Spurs had 88% passing accuracy. 16 fouls by Man United, and then we're having 14 fouls by the side of Tottenham Hotspur. 5 yellow cards to Man United, and for the yellow cards I was really worried because Mazrui, Dallo both booked at halftime. Before even halftime, I was like, we don't have any other fullback on the bench, and how is this going to really help us? And it was by God's mercy that these two players composed themselves, and they never really found themselves really conceding another one. Then you can talk about 1 yellow card to Manchester United of Bruno Fernandes. I don't even want to talk about a red card. You know, people will say, we can't talk about the red card. No. We are looking very bad, very ugly. You know, the performance was abysmal, and United was really looking like a team that was really uncoached. No coach team can look like that. It can't look like that. You get 2 offsides to Manchester United, 1 offside to Tottenham Hotspur, 5 corners to the side of Manchester United, and 3 corners to the side of Tottenham Hotspur. And there we come up with how the table is really standing. Liverpool on top with 15 points, Man City 14 points, Arsenal 14, Chelsea are really having 13, the placed 4th, Aston Villa 13, 5th position, Fulham are 11 points, in the 6th position, 7th is Newcastle with 11, Tottenham is having 10, in there for you, 8th, Brighton is 9th with 9, Nottingham is having 9 in 6 games, and they are 10th. Brentford is having 7 points in 6 games, and Man United is placed 12th, and they're also having 7 points in 6. Out of 18 points, we are having 7, and that is really very, very bad. And this is the 5th time Tottenham Hotspur have come at Old Trafford and obviously beat us, and they haven't gone ahead to beat Eric Ten Hag here, but today Ten Hag couldn't obviously survive because of his ill tactics that he really flaunted onto the field of play. Let me go into your comment sections. Alfred Ken says, for me, it's time either to decide to bench some players or he chose to be sacked with the immediate effect. Rashford is not helping nothing the team. See Bruno Fernandes. What is he doing? Ten Hag is enough for him. So that is it. And he has gone ahead to do all the injustice to himself. You get? He's doing disservices to himself by not really doing what even the blind is really seeing. Because if you are Eric Ten Hag, what are you doing with Marcus Rashford? What are you doing with Bruno Fernandes? Bench those players and send a message to them that we are having better performing players from the bench and from in our team, and you cannot do something better, so you deserve a sack. Then Alfred Ken says Eric Ten Hag choose to stay, all being shown an exit door. He's seeing if a player isn't performing, he sticks on the same players, yet nothing they're helping, instead of sticking on the same players with no improvement. Yeah, that is something that really pisses me off. I don't say he has the tactics, but your tactics are not executed because of the players that you keep really giving 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th chances. You understand? Get those players off the pitch. And they're the reason as to why United is really looking abysmal. Adams Nabusagu, clueless manager, very disorganized team. Eric Ten Hag today has just got a pen to sign on his sacking agreement. Remember, when they sack you, you have to sign and agree on the terms, the compensations, and so on and so forth. So he deserves a sack. I tell you, he deserves a sack, and is sacking himself as a manager at Manchester United. I'm having Hassan Bisegera. There is still schooling Ten Hag. I see another next 2 losses as go for international break. Yeah, let him be. I know he's going to be the manager when you're playing against FC Porto, and he's going to be the manager when you're playing against Aston Villa. And in the due course, I don't see him winning any of those games. I tell you, I don't see him winning any of those games, and I will be surprised if at all he pulls a rabbit from a hat. I'll be surprised if at all he wins those games, and I'll come here and will tell you, I'm surprised because the tactics for the manager are good, but he's really having two players that can't execute them, and he has really decided to keep them on, and VAR has helped him, and the referee has helped him, and red carded Bruno Fernandes, one of those very bad performing players, and he has been performing badly, and today that's what he really looked like, and that's what he is, you know. Alfred says, I hope Thursday will not be the coach for the game against Porto. I don't think it's not even on Thursday. Let me tell you. Are we playing on Tuesday? When are we playing? Are we playing on Thursday? Let me check. All right. We are playing on Thursday. I know he's really going to be the manager. They cannot sack him now. I tell you. They can't sack him now. You get? They can't sack him now. But those two games are really going to contribute a lot for Erik Ten Hag to be the manager of Manchester United or not. You know? And if he really wins those games, I think he would have wanted to give himself a chance to be here. But he cannot win those games with Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. I tell you, because they've shown him that they are not really at the standards. Hassan says Aston Villa will beat us 5-7 goals. You cannot really be conclusive to your decision or to your opinion, because football is really football. Lots of things can really change, and he can come in there and obviously throw in a shocking performance and obviously see United win. Like season went at Villa and won. You understand? Happy Chris. The earlier the better. Let's get the new manager. No progress in Erik Ten Hag. All I know is that he cannot be sacked tonight. You get? On Thursday, he cannot be sacked. They'll wait until we play against Aston Villa, and then we will obviously get ourselves a new manager. If at all he loses these two games, there will be nothing for him to save. They'll show him the exit door, and he will be out. You understand? Then Hassan says the first goal we conceded looks like two other goals we conceded in the first 5 matches. That's United for you. And that is the shocking bit of it all. And it's all about players losing the balls and not really tracking back. That is the worrying bit of it all. Because what describes insanity? It's someone doing something, is someone doing the same thing consecutively or continuously, expecting different results. That's what Ten Hag is doing, you know? That's what Ten Hag is doing. It's like boiling a stone, and he wants to get milk out of it. That is it, you know? He's really doing stupid things. Chimona, Erik has to be sacked. He's not serious. He just wants to cost us. I've told you, I've been one of the sympathizers of Erik Ten Hag, but today I've finally come out and said, I surrender. He deserves a sack. He deserves a sack. I tell you, he deserves a sack. Today has been one of those games where he really looked like he doesn't know football. That is it. Ruud van Nistelrooy should take the managerial role as was doing at PSV, and I think he will take it. He will take it, and I think we can build with him. We can build with him. But is he ruthless enough to come out and say, Marcus Rashford, you cannot be on the pitch? Bruno Fernandes, you can't be on the pitch. Is he that ruthless? We wait and see. Patrick Simpungwe, what happens to Manchester United? That's sorrowful, please. Let the manager go. Ten Hag outers, I have no problem with you. You know for how long I'm going to obviously have a problem with you. But today, I have no problem with you because I believe you people were right. You were right. You get? You were right on what we went ahead to say. And I tell you, the manager hasn't gone ahead to give himself a chance. He has to be sacked and he'll leave the club of Manchester United unless otherwise he's the most luckiest person. I tell you, the only way Erik Ten Hag can be kept at Manchester United is by luck. Luck has to stand by him, as it has always gone ahead to stand. Though for me, way back I was like, the structure, what, everything is in place. Now we need to see him showcasing the best of himself onto the pitch. Is he doing that? The answer is no. Because for me, I was like, let's give him even 10 Premier League games, but will he even reach 10 Premier League games? Because Looks like the Aston Villa game is going to be his last game for the club of Manchester United at the look of things, because he will lose. He will lose. The only advantage he has is Bruno Fernandes has been red carded, and him red carding him might be one of the turning points of Erik Ten Hag's career, because the guy is really playing badly. If you get in an Eriksen in that number 10 position, United is really going to look better. Is really going to look better. And I think that should be a wake-up call for him that Bruno is not the player he thinks he is, you know. And I've gone here to see very many people play. Bruno is a very classy player. And I ask them, if at all you support Arsenal, obviously, if you say he's a very classy player, hypothetically, why don't we give you Bruno Fernandes and you get us Odegaard? If you support Chelsea, why don't you get us Carl Palmer and we get you Bruno Fernandes? You know, how many teams have you gone here to see come out to say we are going to break the bank to obviously sign Bruno Fernandes? You get, if a player is that good, you'll see big teams looking out for him. You get Brandon Tindili, embarrassment, obviously. Chinedu supported Ten Hag. Ten Hag need to leave as soon as possible, and Bruno needs to be substituted for now. He won't come good. He won't come good, because if at the age of 30 he's not composed like these other number 10s, then he's not gonna come good as you people think. Then Robert Farley, good evening from my end already. United are not ready for this season to win trophy if we keep Erik Ten Hag on the team. I tell you, for me, I've gonna hate to give up on Erik Ten Hag. I've given up on Erik Ten Hag, and I cannot come here and really tell you that I now trust him. Today has been the day I've gonna hate obviously say that looks like he's not the right man for the job. I've always gonna hate to see him as the right man for the job, but today I've finally come up and admitted that he's not the right man for the job. That is it. Greetings from Ghana. David, I always told you that Bruno and Rashford are the cause of our problems. I told you. I've been consistent about that. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford cost this team. But who puts them on the field of play? It's Erik Ten Hag. Who gives them time? It's Erik Ten Hag. Who doesn't take them off the field of play? It's Erik Ten Hag. You get? Masa Chimna, he's a useless manager I have ever seen. No tactics. Tactics are there. But if you cannot really see things that even a person like me who has never gone to a coaching school is seeing, then what are you all up to? You've always told us that you spend most of your time doing the video analytics. Now, what analytics have you gone ahead to see? Because this is really a cold, harsh fact that Bruno Fernandes and Rashford are the people that kill the rhythm. And when you keep them on the field of play, you are the one to blame. And I now take the blame to the manager. Period. Fred says Ten Hag should be sacked. All right. I think his sacking is really on. Thomas Donker, our next game against Villa, we don't need Rashford. And in that game. All right. Okurut Paul, why Onana and Fernandes all the matches? Then Zexi is nothing. By the way, Onana really saved us. Did you see how he saved us today? In just 20 minutes, United would have gone ahead to concede like 5. And you saw how much Onana stood up in there for you. Zexi did his job. He got one chance. I think would have gone to do better. But I cannot obviously come and heap everything on him. For me, today, it's Erik Ten Hag, no one else. The manager is the reason as to why we've gone ahead obviously come out and really lose. Erik Ten Hag, he has sacked himself. I tell you. He has sacked himself. And even the fans that really kept him on the job have finally gave up on him. You know? And if that happens, you just get to know that it's done. It's done. Because if the fans had gone ahead to side with the board, Ten Hag would have gone ahead to be out. You get? But Ten Hag is not out because of the fans. Now the fans were booing him even at halftime. They booed him. You get? Kakande Francis, Ten Hag is taking United in the championship. Let him resign. Chiwola Sami, I think Ten Hag is tied and want to leave. Not really. He wants to win here, but he has failed himself. He has set himself to fail. Allport Charles, I have a pity on Erik Ten Hag. Let him just go. I have noticed that he can't change Man United anymore. And if I was boss, I could give Van Nistelrooy a chance. All right. Asire Ray, I wanted Bruno and Rashford to be substituted in halftime. I never watched second half. Obviously, anyone saw it that those two players had to be taken off around the 20th minute. Dennis Mamoli, Erik Ten Hag doesn't want this United job. That is it. Because if he wanted his United job, he would have gone ahead to do things that are really saving him. But nothing is being done by Erik Ten Hag that shows he's saving himself. This is Felham Green. RD, you and Ten Hag should stop misleading us. You got no idea about football with where United is playing. On your last video, you said Man United. Yeah, I knew we are going to win. I told you we are going to win. But look at how we've gone ahead to lose. And I told you that I'm not going to come in here and obviously be Erik Ten Hag in all the time. You get? In the game that we lost to, we drew with FC20, I slated Erik Ten Hag. You get? And today, if you've watched my game very well, my video very well, I've told you, Erik Ten Hag just sent himself back to Netherlands and he just gonna hate to sack himself. You get? I've also given up. I've given up because I'm defending a manager who cannot defend himself. You get? The manager is defending himself for the undefendable and he has to be sacked. He has to be sacked. I know tonight it's impossible, but FC Porto and Aston Villa are the last two games of Erik Ten Hag. If he loses them, they are going to show him the exit door. He is going to be sacked. I don't see him here at Manchester United, and I'll be surprised if Erik Ten Hag turns this around. I remember it on Jose Mourinho. That's how it was. I remember it onto, what's the name of the guy? I remember it onto this guy, what's his name? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That was the same case. They got sacked like that. And Ten Hag has sacked himself. That is it. Good evening, bro. Why is he playing Zexi ahead of Højlund and Bruno ahead of Eriksson? For me, Zexi deserves to start because he makes us play better. And these players that are around him sometimes don't really do the needful. And you're blaming him because he got one chance. You get? So, I really feel that he would have gone to be scoring very many goals, but Højlund is coming in from injury and getting him in there is not all that the best option that you could obviously give to Erik Ten Hag. But for me, Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, those two players don't deserve to be here. Erina Ochan, Fernandes and Rashford should rest for a while. Not even rest for a while. I think they should be really shown the exit door. For me, I've been watching these players for some time and there is nothing special about them. And you people will obviously discover it with time. Rashford has nothing special in him. Even Bruno Fernandes has nothing special in him. That is it. Masa Chimna, Aradi, do you remember that game of Barnsley? The manager went on to bench Rashi and Bruno, but we won it. But yeah, that is it. When you are not having Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, everything will really be fluid. Barnsley, Rashford started and scored a brace. Bruno Fernandes was out and Eriksson was played as a 10. We did better. You get? Klein says, you ask me, what was a reckless red card? How do you do that in your half of the pitch? Let Maddison to go there and so many guys to prevent him. That is it. That is it. And ask yourself, in the goal, where was he? Where was he to put in such a tackle before he had gone ahead to concede a goal? Where was he? Where was he to put in such a tackle? So, Bruno Fernandes is nothing. Old Port Charles was Ronaldo telling us the facts. For Ronaldo, I don't really agree with him, because he's talking because he was not being put on the field of play. And I tell you, no manager right now in top elite football, in the top 5 leagues of Europe, can really give Ronaldo a position to start because it's all about us being press resistant. You understand? That is it. So, Oringo says, why is he playing Rashford? That's the huge question. And he has sacked himself. Peter Klein, Rashford playing with blind eyes. How do you kick the ball that recklessly without seeing the risk ahead? That is it. And a manager sees that and keeps that player in the field of play. I tell you, Ten Hag has given himself an outing. That is it. He's going to leave. Thien, what Ten Hag's doing Everyone is asking because I've given him the chances. You know, people have been watching this channel. You know how much I've gone to stand in for Erik Ten Hag. You get? I've gone ahead to stand in for him for a very long time, and now I've given up on him. Clearly, the player's lack of confidence and pace, that's not the case. That's not the case. We have good players, but the manager has now proven to be the problem. Opio Ivan Ten Hag should be sacked. Paul says, we are telling you that he's a bad manager, but you are insisting that he's not the problem. Now, I really join that side of United who have gone ahead to give up on him. That is it. You know, it's always better to give everyone the chance that he wants, and then the person sacks himself. Massa, Chimra, Rashford, and Bruno are selfish players. They have to be benched for a while. Ten Hag is the problem because he keeps them playing. Odekonyero Johnson, Ten Hag must go. Entertainment, you always support Ten Hag. Today is totally different. I've always gone ahead to support him. But today, by the way, from the game of FC20, you saw what I told you. Very, very, very bad. You know, Mohamed Kelly, Ten Hag is the problem for Man United. He likes favoring players. He has been ruthless on other players, but on these ones, he's really keeping the feet of play. Dominic, at this point, Ten Hag has to go. We are tired, and I cannot really blame any Ten Hag outer. Then Masa Chimuna, Eric has to trust in Mount and Eriksson ahead of Bruno. That is it. Kayondo Rashid, even Dallo is doing nothing. Dallo today was one of the worst players on the field of play, and the first goal, we conceded because of Dallo. The way he really walks when they are really attacking us, I was like, what is he doing? He had to put in the effort at least to run to the far post, but he couldn't. We conceded the first goal because of Dallo, and he put out very many blind passes, like 4-5, you know, in the first half. And I was like, what's wrong with this guy? He's one of the best players on the ball we have on the pitch, and he looked bad, you know. This is not the Man United I fall in love with as a kid. All right, I know. Sig Entertainment, can we play Zexi as a number 10? It's also possible. London says, this man Ten Hag is stubborn because he saw mistakes by Bruno Fernandes, Zexi Garnacho on the right, inside of Ahmad on the right, and Garnacho on the left side. So, when Garnacho went on the left, he played very well. But Ten Hag has sacked himself. And I surrender. I've been there for him. I've come in and put in the shift. But obviously, he has sacked himself. Kabaka says, how can Ten Hag bench good players and bring bad players like Rashford and Bruno? He has no tactics. He should be sacked. And I told you, he has sacked himself. Opio Ivan, the following need to leave the club. Manager, Rashford and Bruno. Moses Raboni, Ten Hag, leave the club. Dominic says, and I'm very happy for Bruno's red card. I'm too happy, by the way, about it. He's always behaving like a midfielder. He's very petulant, and which captain does that? You get? Emerson says, Eric, Rashford and Bruno are the problems. And they're not going to sell these players. Rashford is on 350 quid a week. Bruno Fernandes earns £375,000 a week. They're not going to really move them on because they're going to have to give them huge contracts. You understand? So, what is going to happen is Erik Ten Hag, who has come out and obviously trusted them, is going to find himself in a position of really not staying. You get? He's leaving. The only positive, the only thing that can keep it at Manchester United is red carding Bruno Fernandes. If he can go to Aston Villa and really get a result, obviously I believe without Bruno Fernandes, United can get a result. Clear result. If at all Ericsson is played as a 10 at Aston Villa, they can go there and really get a result, I tell you. They can go there and get a result because Ericsson is very decisive and very composed on the ball, and he does a lot. But in the coming times, he's really going to put himself in a very, very, very bad way. But it all starts with the game of FC Porto on Thursday. If he doesn't do the needful, Erik Ten Hag is really going to be sacked. And I know these two games are the ultimatum that have going to obviously give him. Emerson says, this is Gabriel Moses. Greetings from Gabriel Moses. Thank you very much for everything. Sure, Ten Hag should leave. United together with Bruno Fernandes. All right. Masa Chimna Zexi is not a finisher because he's not capable of holding a ball. He holds the ball. He's a very good holder of the ball. And guys, let me tell you, for me, I cannot come out and really go at Joshua Zexi. He never had a preseason. He's just getting into this team. He has had chances. He hasn't gone ahead to kill them off. But do you think he's the reason as to why we conceded 3 goals? I want to come out and really blame these players when we are really doing better. But look at how we conceded these 3 goals. You get stupidly like that. You know? Nicholas, we proper schooled you today. That is it. Tottenham Hotspur schooled Manchester United, no doubt about that. Peter Klein says, guys, I'm a goner, but it's time we spill the beans. There are players who are beaten by time at Old Trafford. John Evans, Harry Maguire, Casemiro, Bruno, Rashford, Eriksson, Anthony, Mount. You're right. And you've gone ahead to bring it out right that they are beaten by time at Old Trafford and they cannot really stretch any further. I believe that they are done. They are done. You get? Tushabe says, thank you for your advice, but Ten Hag is not good. Coach, even we cannot talk with pays when they are paying. So for me, Ten Hag has sacked himself. I've always told you this. Sorry, I started saying this on, when did we play? Wednesday, this week. I told you Ten Hag is the problem because of how he's really making substitutions and really went ahead to select him. Then today, Ten Hag, I surrender, guys. I now surrender. You know, he has sacked himself. I've gone ahead to stand in for him. He has not gone ahead to stand himself for him. So if I can see the problems and the mistakes and he can't see them, then who am I to keep him here? You know, he has lost trust in the fans. I tell you, he has lost trust in the fans. And I tell you, Ten Hag outers are winning. I tell you, they are winning, and I also join them. Ten Hag has to be sacked. You get? He has to be sacked. That is it. And if he doesn't get sacked, he's going to be the luckiest person I've ever gone ahead to see manage Manchester United. Tusabe says, thank you for your this is Kakuro Vian. My friend Aradi, don't convince me that Erik Ten Hag is a good coach. He's doing nothing on the pitch and Bruno should be dropped. But you are not really getting my explanation. I've told you that Ten Hag has failed himself. That is it. What does it mean when I tell you that someone is going to fail himself? Ten Hag has failed himself. You get? Ten Hag has failed himself. And I tell you, he has sacked himself and he is really going to be sacked. You get? He's going to be sacked. Klein says, the sacking is imminent. Wait, breaking news from Fabrizio Romano. All right. I think they cannot sack him today. But I know they might give him a game of FC Porto and the game of Aston Villa because they know these games are really very hard. If he fails to go through them, they're going to sack him, and they have to give themselves time to prepare. But I believe if they sack him, there is no manager that is really going to be coming in through. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy will be given a huge go ahead to obviously manage the club. That is it, because he has already gone ahead to be a first team coach at PSV, and he really managed PSV very, very well. Ten Hag has no style of play, and I'm now contented with it. All right. Robert Fairley Aradi, not only Rashford and Bruno need to be benched. Why Ten Hag always like to play Mount of all people, then leaving serious player them on the bench. But guys, I think when Mount comes in, he looks better than those players. That's why I tell you that Eriksson is the best number 10 at Manchester United. For how long have I gone ahead to say that? Even last season, I was slating Bruno Fernandes, you know. And now, Ten Hag has proven to be a stubborn manager and is the problem. And he has gone ahead, obviously, show himself the exit door. You understand? Then, Kakuru Vian, I wish it was a direct red card so he can miss more games. It was a direct red card. It wasn't a second bookable offense. Bruno Fernandes hadn't gone ahead to get a yellow card in that game. And it was a straight red card to Bruno Fernandes. 3 games out. That is it. Victor Tian, already good evening, bro. I'm a gunner, but always it's Bruno Fernandes who is a fault for me because he wastes a lot of ball. I've already said this. And I don't want to sound repetitive about myself. This guy is very, very bad. And he is an individual player. He doesn't help the team. Now, in a moment like that, if Ten Hag has come out and said that you even coach your fellow players, where is his coaching skills? You get? Where is he? Where are these coaching skills? You know? getting the ball and you're really giving your blind passes. In the previous 3 games, he has gone to give out blind passes like 53 times. And even today, he did the same thing. You get? Umautu no Mugisha, Kakuru Ivan, learn how to comment. If not, leave your comment section, you please. So guys, I think I've gone to say it all. Ten Hag for me has gone to sack himself. And I tell you, United are really going to go ruthless. That is it. That is it. I don't think that it's going to be sacked tonight. No way. But he is going to find himself on a lot of pressure. FC Porto game and the game of Aston Villa, that is the ultimatum. That is it. And I tell you, no excuses. I don't want anyone to talk about injuries. I don't want anyone to talk about anything you can flaunt. No excuses. All is on the manager because we are having better players and he's not getting the field of play. So everything falls on Erik Ten Hag. That is it. So he has sacked himself and everyone. I don't think there is anyone on planet Earth who still believes in Erik Ten Hag because I think I was one of the last people that we are still believing in him. And I had given him an ultimatum of 10 Premier League games. But can he really get even to 10 Premier League games? I don't see him really getting there. I don't see him getting there because he has failed himself and he's really going to get a sack. That is it. Now, I'm having Hassan says, I see Ruud van Nistelrooy can do it better as he used to do at PSG. Yeah, he was a good manager at PSG, but managing Manchester United and PSG are really two different really things. But him being a legend at the club, he will earn the respect from other players, from the players available, and he can obviously kickstart on from there. I'm having Robert Felly. Let me tell you already, those 2 games you are talking about, we were going to lose if Erik Ten Hag remained on the bench. Yeah, I'm telling you, what is my mind telling me? My mind is telling me they're not sacking him tonight. They'll give him the game of FC Porto and the game of Aston Villa. Why? They're hard games. And even these players, if I know they want Erik Ten Hag to be sacked, these are the perfect games to obviously hand him over to the vultures. Though for me, I believe he has already gone ahead to hand over himself to the vultures to be eaten. You get? He's a prey to the vultures because you can't do what he has been doing. You get? If you are doing the same mistakes, that is insanity. You know? Insanity of the highest order. You understand? I'm having Twino Mogisha. Oh my God. Very believable for today. Alright? Oburu Ivan. Good evening, Papa. I'm tired of Ten Hag's game decision. Let him go. Yeah, and for me, even if they sack him today, I won't come out and say he never deserves a sack. For what Erik Ten Hag is going to do, a sack is inevitable. Sacking Erik Ten Hag is inevitable because he has failed himself. That is it. He has failed himself. And I tell you what, he's going to be shown the exit door. That is it. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. That has been my match reaction. And I think I'm going to be coming live later. And you people will obviously be joining me to see to it that everything goes on plan. United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3, Ten Hag on the verge of being sacked from all as a manager of Manchester United.